Hey, happy Tuesday. Hope you're having a great week so far. Today has been a fun day. Did a bunch of reviews of some Newfie keyboards. Got a lot of editing I had to do that, so be looking for some edit and chill videos with Adam Talks Tech, where I'm going to be walking you through how I make my keyboard videos, how I make all my tech videos, and I'll also break down some of the B-roll style shots that I get to make the videos a little bit more intriguing. So if you want to check those out, we'll be doing some streams later. We might have one later today. I still need to shoot a lot of B-roll for the keyboard videos, so it might be tomorrow when I start doing some of those edit and chill videos. I had a interesting week with the desk setup behind me. So I used the studio display, and then I have the vertical monitor directly to the left of it, which I really like the vertical monitor. It's really good for viewing clips while you're editing on Final Cut Pro. And I also just like it to split things into a top and bottom window, so I'll have reminders or notes open on that window a lot of times if I'm browsing the web or if I'm doing research projects. Or really, I just use that for anything that's not needing to be super color accurate, or if I don't need the high resolution. That's another area where I use the vertical monitor. So I had that off my desk for maybe a month or so. I was using the LG 40-inch ultra wide 5K 2K for about a month, and I just took it and put it in a corner of my room, didn't touch it. So I set it back up on my desk, used it for a day or two, and then the next morning I went to set up, and the screen was just flashing over and over on the top half of the screen. So I tried shutting it off and on again. I tried a new HDMI cable, tried using different USB-C cables. I tried it with multiple computers. I even plugged my iPhone into my vertical monitor, and I was still having so many issues with it. So I just took it off and left the stand hanging out on there for a few days. Tried it again, it still wasn't working. So today I finally took the stand off my desk because I thought it looked kind of silly to have this stand just hanging out there. So I took it off, and then this afternoon I thought I should try this monitor again. Plugged it in a different corner of the room, and it worked fine. So now I put the vertical monitor back where it belongs. It was out of warranty, so part of me is like, if it's not working, LG's not going to do anything about it, because LG is kind of known for being stingy with their warranties with their monitors, unfortunately. And you realize that when something does break, you wish that they would cover something a little bit longer. I think that's why it's easier to recommend monitors and companies that give a 3 to 5 year warranty on different things, because you know if they're offering that, then they really stand behind their products a little bit more, and they feel more confident in how long it's actually going to last. So anyways, the monitor's working now. It's set back up. We'll see if it lasts or not, but it was really making me reconsider my whole desk setup, because they don't make the LG dual up anymore, and I've actually really been liking the vertical monitor or the ultra wide monitor setup. So I was starting to think about if I should get the LG 5K 2K for myself, or if there's a different monitor that would be a little bit better. There's something about having the seamless screen that's really nice, but you can also do a little bit more by having two separate windows as far as your outputs and things like that go from a computer. So I'm gonna see if this LG dual up lasts or if it's actually shot, but I should have some more monitors on the way to be testing and reviewing soon. And I'll do them in the single monitor configurations, as well as I'll do some dual monitor tests, just so I can get a good idea of what all those different options are. They're saying the Apple Studio Display 2 is right around the corner. It's got a lot of different rumors going on for it. So some people are saying it's still going to be the 5K display. Some people are saying maybe they'll raise the refresh rate up to 90 hertz instead of 120 hertz. I'm not really into refresh rate terminology, but I do think it would be strange if they only went up to 90. That just seems kind of like an odd number to choose when most people are coming to expect 120 hertz. And I believe Asus just put out a 120 hertz 5K monitor, so the technology is out there. They should totally do 120 hertz if they're really going to upgrade the studio display. Otherwise, I'm not really sure why it would be an attractive option, other than the fact that it just matches perfectly. And after using some of the different other higher end monitors, I've definitely gone back and forth on if the studio display really is the best. I gotta say the colors on it are great, but after using some of these larger monitors, the 6K 32-inch displays and the ultra wide, you do really like the extra screen real estate if you're doing a ton of creative work, or you can even have Final Cut open on one side of the screen and have your notes open on another if you have an ultra wide monitor. Or for the clip viewer, that takes up a lot of space on a 27-inch display. I almost can't even edit video on a laptop anymore because there's just not enough space to me to see all the different clips and shots that I got for my B-roll. So I definitely feel like I'm more of a dual monitor person these days. Let me know what your setup is, what kind of monitor setup you like to use. So anyways, debating my long-term desk setup, I did do a little bit of upgrading and updating to it. I'm going to see if I can figure this out. Basically, I'm doing some of these edit with me streams now, and so I've got it set up where I've got the Rodecaster Video S there, so I can plug my computer into it and then output the computer into it and stream it at the same time. I also got a microphone going into it, so this actually captures the sound of the computer, and it can capture microphone sound somewhere in a headset, so I can still hear and feed everything through, which has been really cool to be able to do that and show kind of how I approach video editing. Still got the Stream Deck Plus. I think I would honestly prefer a standard Stream Deck to the Plus, though. I don't really use the knob settings on the Stream Deck Plus very much. Some people really like it. I know a lot of people who are using the Stream Deck for live streaming have found really great use with all the knobs, but for me, it's not been super necessary. I also have the XLR dock on it. It sounds good too. I just have another audio interface, and I've got the Rodecaster, so I'm not even using the XLR on the back of the Stream Deck Plus right now. So I'm going to keep using it for now, but I could definitely see a world where having the additional buttons of the standard Stream Deck would be a little bit nicer. The next desk setup I've been working on is actually this desk that I'm sitting at right now. I call this the filming desk. So this is just a giant butcher block island, really. The thing is huge. It barely fits in my office, but it's really nice to be able to get so much stuff on it and to be able to shoot vertical videos on it and to just have a huge surface. So I just went to the OpenGrid Underwear 2.0 3D printed system, mounted the CalDigit TS5 underneath it, mounted the power brick. So all these cables are just hanging off the back of it, and there's a couple of cables that I have to unplug that go to things like a teleprompter as well as to the network. But what's nice about the way the setup works is I can easily see the couple cables I need to unplug, and then it's just a single Thunderbolt cable going to this MacBook Pro, which the MacBook Pro I'm using for this setup is the M4 Pro MacBook Pro. Really anything would work just fine for running a live stream like this or for running the Elgato prompter. But I've also got, I've got the OpenGrid set up. I 3D printed these mounts, mounted it on there, so it's just always out of the way, ready to go. I also mounted a giant Harbor Freight power strip on the bottom of the desk, which is really handy because I can just reach under it and plug anything in that I'm reviewing, or if I need to test something, and there's always power instead of having to pull a extension cord across the room. This is also motorized, so I'm able to lift it up. I think I'm over the weight limit on what these FlexiSpot legs are supposed to do with this giant butcher block desk, but it's working so far. Also, hey, thanks for joining the stream today. I'm doing pretty good. It's feeling nice outside today too, so got to run a little bit this morning, which was nice. So the next part of the setup, I always have issues with Universal Control wanting to take over when I don't want it to work, and it moves on an iPad. The next part of the setup is the Elgato pedal and the Stream Deck. So I've got a Rodecaster Video over there, and I use the Stream Deck as a way to switch angles. I've also got the pedal that I use to scroll or stop, and I can also set the pedal up where it cuts the angles on the Rodecaster Video as well, so that's really handy. Video editing is going pretty well. I shot 4 videos today, so I've got a lot of videos to catch up on, and some of those docking stations we did last week, they just need finished up, so they got a little bit more work to get all those done, but it won't take too long. It's mostly just getting to it and getting the time. Another thing I run into is with all the gear I review, all the tools I need to mess with stuff, things can get kind of out of hand as far as storage goes. So I got into Gridfinity about a year ago, and I went hard with it, got everything organized, and then I kind of neglected it for the last 3 or 4 months. So back on the Gridfinity grind, everything has a place in the toolbox. There's the SSD collection. It is growing, but it's also stagnant at the same time. I really could use a couple more 4TB SanDisk Pro blades. They're just getting kind of hard to find right now. And then on the top one, this is the top drawer that I use on my toolbox, so gotta keep the box knives handy for unboxing, batteries always ready, cleaning wipes, shipping scale. lots of Allen wrenches. Everything comes with an Allen wrench, so you end up with a million different Allen wrenches, and most of them are the same, and I should really just put those in a box somewhere where I never mess with them and only use the T-handle set that I have. But yeah, this is the SSD drawer, and I also keep like the DJI Osmo Actions. Osmo Pocket goes in there. Got a couple other things I'm not really using as much anymore. It seems like every time I simplify and stop using a piece of gear, I inevitably end up trying to sell it, and then later on I want to do a setup or a rig and I start to miss something. So I've been going back and forth recently on how much excess camera gear and tech gear do you sell versus how much do you keep. So let me know how you decide if you're going to keep stuff if you're not actively using it versus throwing it on eBay or Facebook Marketplace. So yeah, the filming desk setup has been upgraded. The next big issue I've been running into is I'm getting a lot of comments on gear videos recently saying the price went up or the price went down. And actually today I was looking at some stuff on B&H, and there was a video switcher I just bought a couple months ago that was $500 and it just went up to $800. So it's just crazy how fast the prices on things are changing these days. So whenever I make a video, I always like to think of the value. What's a competitive item with it? If the Rodecaster Video S is $500 and the Blackmagic ATEM Mini Pro is $325, well, the Rodecaster has the XLRNs. It has a couple of other things going for it that I think is a little bit better than the Blackmagic. But then if you're comparing a $300 item to one that's now actually $800, it kind of changes the video a little bit, and it changes my perspective on it because the price gap has greatly increased. So I don't know how to solve that when I'm making videos. I hate to say at the time of filming this, the price is this, but it almost feels like I need a disclaimer or something on my screenshot from the manufacturer's website saying like priced on February 17th, 2026, just so people can know that's what it costs at the time of filming this, because it does seem like pricing on things is still super volatile, with especially SSDs. The SSD and hard drives now are starting to catch up and go up in price. So those are all over the place. And then the tariff situation still seems to be affecting stuff and driving the prices up and down on random electronics. So if you have any ideas on how I should handle pricing in my videos, then let me know, because I really like to mention pricing, but I also don't like to do it right now because everything is subject to change. The next question I have, if anyone has any insight on this, is kind of like a poll I ran yesterday. So we've been doing some edit and chill sessions. We've been doing these Tech Talk Tuesdays, where I would really like to be helping people who need answers for their tech questions or tech setups. So if you're trying to decide what docking station would work well for you, you can watch all my review videos, but if you hop on one of these live streams, you can just tell me, hey, this is exactly what I'm trying to do with it. I'm a musician, I got lots of audio interfaces. I'd probably say, oh, well, go get the CalDigit TS5 Plus. So I can give a little bit more personalized advice in a live stream format like this. So I would like to do more of these Tech Talk Tuesdays, but I'm not getting a ton of engagement on them yet. So I'm going to keep it up. I'm going to keep doing it. But to really feel like it's worthwhile and for the way I would like this to go, I would really like to be answering people's questions and helping you pick things out that you might need for your setup. Or even if you don't actually need it, but you're just interested in it, I still like to talk about all things tech. So I really need a little bit more audience participation in these to feel like they're super worthwhile. The other thing I like to do is kind of talk about some of the news in tech that we don't always go as into depth on those things on the Adam Talks Tech review videos, just because I try to keep that evergreen, where it's not about what the latest and greatest is or what is changing, but it's about like, this is how this is going to stack up over time and against things that have already come out. So I'm doing these Tech Talk Tuesdays, and you may have caught some of my edit and chill videos where I'm basically just sharing my screen, showing how I edit videos on Final Cut Pro, showing my process for cutting the video down, inserting the B-roll, and notating anything as I'm editing that I need to go fix later, or that I need to reshoot something, or if I'm watching the video realizing I completely forgot to talk about something super important, then you're kind of getting a live look at what that whole process is like for me. And also, I've had a lot more people asking me questions on the Tech Talk Tuesday, or on the edit and chills, than I have on the Tech Talk Tuesdays, because the Tech Talk Tuesdays are typically 15 to 30 minutes. The editing sessions can go for an hour and a half, and it's just that, it's edit and chill. So if you have any thoughts on what the live content should be like, or if you would like to ask questions, we're doing this every Tuesday at 3 p.m. It's Tech Talk Tuesday. And then as I have time to edit videos during the week, I'm just going to be going live because I've got that setup that we were just talking about at my desk that allows me to easily go live while I'm editing. So that's one of the reasons I put it there, was so I would use it and not have to grab a bunch of stuff and get it set up every time I want to just edit videos and talk to people who follow the channel. So please visit the Tech Talk Tuesday videos, but also come to the Edit and Chills. And if you have different types of live content you'd like to see, then let me know in the comments below too what you'd like to see there. The last main thing I have to talk about today, unless there's any questions, actually I got two more things. The next thing is the direction of the actual review content for the channel. So I've had a lot of different opinions from people on the area the channel should focus. I also look at my analytics a lot. People really like iPad content. People also really like Mac content. I haven't done much iPad content recently. There's been a little bit of Mac content. It's mostly been in the accessory department. So my question is, would you guys prefer if I just focus completely on the Apple-based content, the hero products that Apple puts out, the AirPods, the different MacBooks, the deep dives that I've done with those? Or do you really like seeing all the different tech accessories? Because how a lot of YouTubers do it is they just integrate ads for tech products they receive into their videos about Apple products. And the problem with that is I feel like you're not getting as good of a look into, let's say, a keyboard. So Newfie could sponsor a video that I made about the M5 Pro MacBook Pro if it ever comes out. And then you're just going to get an ad read on the keyboard instead of a full deep dive into everything that the Air 75 V3 is able to do. So it's kind of a completely different style of video and a different business model for how a channel is able to make money if you do go off and you do a ton of integrations. So I don't really do many integrations. I've done a couple of paid videos where a company like Newfie can pay and they're going to get their product featured a little bit faster, and I'll put it at the top of the list of things to review. But I've also received a ton of different Thunderbolt 5 docking stations, tested them all and used them all, and I feel like I have a really good understanding now of what the best docking stations actually are versus if some brand like CalDigit just sponsored a Mac video and it's just getting shoved into the video. So I really like to explain everything, but also it's sometimes hard to justify spending all the time and really deep diving and testing all the individual accessories. But I know they're really important because if you're building out your setup, you need to know that all the different things are going to work together. You need to know, why is the CalDigit TS5 $400 instead of being a $300 docking station? Or because some of these things are really expensive and you need to know why you're spending the money on them. So would you prefer I keep doing deep dives into random tech that is Apple adjacent, or do you think I should just go all in on the Apple only stuff and really focus on Macs, iPads, because I haven't had as much time to do the Mac and the iPad content because I've been focused on the accessories? Many giveaways. So giveaways would be cool to do as well. They can be a little complicated. I think I did a giveaway for 10,000 subscribers, and I should probably do another one soon. They can be a little bit complicated to get the entries, and then I also had to limit it to US only, and I had a lot of people not get that, or they like came up with a way around it, and they were trying to get into the giveaway, so I wasn't able to pull that off quite the way I wanted to. And then the other thing that was kind of disappointing is some of the stuff I shipped out and I never heard back from the people that they even got it. But probably half of them said thank you. I think we shipped like 4 different things, and half the people said thank you, they appreciated it, and the other half, I just never even heard that they received the item or got a thank you. So I would just like to think that if you do a giveaway that people are going to appreciate it. But that's a good idea. Another thing I do is I have a lot of friends in the tech world who just have different tech professions, and some of the stuff that you see on the channel actually ends up getting passed on to them. So a lot of my extra power banks and chargers, docking stations, I pass on to work environments that are going to keep using them, and then they let me know if anything arises with them, and I then I can update that in the description, or I can always take it back from them and do a follow-up part 2 video. I haven't done a ton of part 2 videos on this channel. I've done a couple for some speakers from Adam Audio. I've done a couple part 2 videos on those. The iPad A16 I actually did a part 2 video on because iPad OS 26 really fundamentally changed the way the iPad A16 worked. I was going to do an iPad mini part 2, but I never got around to part 1 of the iPad mini, so the iPad mini just ended up being the iPad OS 26 version of it. But yeah, I will think about some more giveaways. I like to pass on things, and I like for other people to get to use stuff too, instead of it just sitting in a drawer forever, because that doesn't do any good. A lot of the stuff too ends up getting featured on compilation videos or best of videos, where we look at all the best products that are of a certain category. So the other day we edited the CalDigit Element 5 and the OWC Thunderbolt 5 hub video, and I haven't used the Element 5 in a few months, but I needed it just so I could re-reference everything it had on it and showcase it side by side with the OWC one to help people make a choice. So that's part of why I like to keep stuff, keep testing it, keep using it. The last thing I've got to talk about today is Apple's non-event announcement. I'm still a little confused what they're actually calling it. I think they called it an experience. So March 4th, they're supposed to have this experience in maybe like 3 different countries. And there's a lot of rumors going on what they're going to be unveiling. Is it going to be iPads? Is it going to be Macs? Is it going to be new HomePods or other home-related accessories? So I'm really excited for that. Definitely have March 4th circled on the calendar to tune into whatever they're putting out there, whatever all the news sites are going to drop. I'm not big enough to get invited to those things yet. Maybe someday, maybe next year, we'll see. But I'm looking forward to that. I think there's going to be some interesting products. But the thing that makes me nervous is the fact that they're not calling it a full-fledged event. And in the past, anything where they make a big launch or release, they call it an event. And so part of me is like, oh, is this not going to be very substantial? Is that why they're not calling it an event and it's just going to be an experience instead? So I'm hopeful that some of these products that we've been waiting on for a while, like the HomePod Mini 2, maybe a full-size HomePod 3rd gen, maybe the Home Hub thing with the screen. I'm still not sure how I feel about that yet. Maybe the M5 Pro, the M5 Max chips, maybe all that stuff will finally start to come out. I think what I'm nervous about is there's all these rumors of M6, and like Apple is shoveling all the really good products to the future. And that's kind of disappointing to hear, because I would rather them launch all the groundbreaking stuff now. Like, why do just a small incremental upgrade on the M5 when they could make the M6 and the M6 Pro chips come out sooner? I don't know. It's also hard to decide sometimes too, like, do we need a new MacBook and MacBook Air every year? Maybe not. Maybe we don't. They've released the Mac Studio in kind of a weird upgrade cycle where it was M1, M2. They skipped the M3, but they did an M3 Ultra and an M4 Max. So that's been a little bit weird. And then with the MacBook Airs, the M1 and M2 were very similar. The M3 kind of changed, but the M4 really blew everything else out of the water. So you hate to put a stop to innovation, and you hate to put a stop to faster chip performance and speeds that could come out at any point in time, but it makes it harder to recommend some of the stuff when it feels like a major refresh is right around the corner. And I've tested the M4 Pro, the M4 Max, Mac Studio. I've got the M4 Mac Mini. One of my friends loaned me his M4 Pro Mac Mini for a long time. So I've used pretty much the whole lineup, and I can test pretty much anything. I've got some contacts with B&H who are able to loan the channel different things to test out. So I feel like I've got a pretty good idea of what actually matters with all of these and what ones are going to be better or not. I would just love for Apple to maybe do less small upgrades and maybe focus more on the bigger upgrades, because then it would feel like a more worthwhile reason to upgrade for people who are looking at it. And maybe it would give people less purchase anxiety about, oh, I hate to buy the M5 Pro, MacBook Pro, when the M6 is going to have this groundbreaking new feature. But Apple also hasn't put any like major groundbreaking features in their laptops really since the M1 Max. yeah, I feel like the M1 Max was really their last major MacBook Pro innovation where they got rid of the touch bar, they fixed the keyboard, they put the ports back on it. And then with the Air, I feel like the last innovation was the M3. I believe the M3 is when they put MagSafe back on. It may have been the M2 though, I can't remember. Oh, I appreciate that. I appreciate that you like the way I review stuff. I do need to do an upgrade or an updated video on the MX Keys Mini though. I haven't really done a deep dive in that. It's been like 3 years, and the style of the channel has changed a lot in 3 years. My advice, if you want to get any keyboards to review sooner, is I would just start with whatever you've already got, because usually when you try to learn a format of doing a video, it's easier to start with something you have before you either ask a company for something or buy one, because I did that with a microphone before and I'd never done a microphone review. And then I got this microphone and I was like, oh, I don't actually know how to do a review of a microphone. I don't know what all the different tests are. And so the video ended up not being as good as it should have been. And I felt like I kind of ended up letting the brand down because I didn't really know exactly what I was doing with it. So my advice is start with some of the ones that you've already got, and then feel free to send me a DM at some point and we can talk about, you know, other directions and options that I would really recommend if you wanted to make something like that take off. But yeah, as far as Apple goes, I'm excited to see what they're going to put out. I'm just nervous that the event is going to be a little bit of a letdown because it's an experience. It's not an event. And because so many people are saying the M5 chip is kind of just a placeholder chip. But we'll see. Maybe it'll be amazing. Maybe it'll be groundbreaking. I'll make sure I test everything and get my hands on it so that I can help you know if it's worth looking into or if you should just stick to what you've already got. But I think that's going to do it for today. Thanks for tuning in. And if you're watching later, again, feel free to drop a comment. Let me know any of your thoughts on all this stuff we talked about.